Hi friends, Cathy Madeo here, back with another tutorial video, this one all about headstand and specifically supported headstand when we have the hands clasped and the elbows underneath the shoulders. So a quick little disclaimer before we deep dive into this tutorial is if you have any kind of spine issues going on, if you have things like vertigo, glaucoma, stuff with the eyes, a heart condition, these things you might not want to practice something like headstand. And if you're watching this video, I'm going to make an assumption that you're maybe newer to headstand, or maybe you want to pick up some extra tips if you've been practicing for a while. But those newer to inversions tend to be a little bit weaker in the areas of the body that we really want to make sure are strong in order to support the inversion. So thinking about our shoulder joint, this area here is a very mobile joint. And we're essentially using the support of our arms and our shoulders to help bear weight on our head. So if this area in the neck is not strong, the muscles supporting this shoulder girdle are not already strong, you don't have a very strong core yet in order to stabilize your spine and pelvis, you might want to think twice about rushing into headstand. Now I know a lot of students that are newer to inversions go to headstand first, and the reason why is because you do have a bigger foundation than something like handstand or forearm balance. And so the ability to balance is a little bit easier, but is that balance supported? Are you supporting yourself on a stable structure to help prevent any kind of injury in the cervical spine is the question you want to ask yourself. I have plenty of videos on this channel to help you get a strong core. I have an online series to help you get a strong core. And if you are practicing yoga at home and really looking to deep dive into alignment of all of the foundational and intermediate level poses, including this pose today, I highly recommend you check out my online 200-hour yoga teacher training program, which is not just designed for folks that want to become yoga teachers, but really designed to immerse anyone into the yoga practice and give you a solid foundation. Better to start at the beginning with a solid foundation than learn a bunch of habits and have to kind of dial it back and relearn everything. So with that, let's get started. In this video, I'll go over some do's and don'ts of headstand and help you align and figure out how to start progressing into your headstand. So the first do is figure out where the crown of your head is. I'm going to give you two ways to figure this out, and they both should verify each other. So the first is to take the heel of your hand and place it at the bridge of your nose, which is the very top of your nose. So we'll place it there and then set your middle finger pad down onto your head, and that, where the finger pad is where the crown of your head is. Another way to do it is to take your thumb and your middle finger and index finger and make like an L shape. Place your thumbs behind your ears, lay those fingers down, and take one of your middle fingers on top of the other one where those finger pads are, and that is the crown of your head. Now let's test this. If we keep one of those middle finger pads down, and take our other hand, the bridge, peel the hand into the bridge of the nose and place that middle finger down, those middle finger pads are probably going to meet, and that's approximately where the crown of your head is. Now this becomes important, knowing where this is, for this reason. So this is your don't. So don't do this, right? When I typically see students will place the crown of their head, their crown of their head down. Let's say here, I'm not going to use my hands just so you can see it. And then they might come up. Notice my hips are behind me here. So they're behind me, I'm on the crown of my head. But the second I start to walk in, I start to roll more to the back of my head. And now I'm bearing weight on a point in which my neck is going to look like this. So it doesn't have its kind of natural curvature. The spine are joints, are facet joints. And so the more we can stack our joints when we're inverting upside down, the less pressure and compression we're going to have on those joints. The moment we start to flex or extend and then put weight on those joints is when we start to get into compression. Number 2, do push your head into the floor. That might seem counterintuitive. Why would I want to apply more pressure into my head? Well, what you're doing when you push down is you're working against gravitational force and you're actually decompressing the spine. If you put your head down and don't resist that gravity, you're just kind of dumping all of the weight down. So the vertebrae, remember those joints, those facet joints, begin to compress down. Versus if you push away, then that will start to lengthen everything. And now we can test this here. So I want you to take your hand onto the top of your head, the crown of your head, and you'll push down. That's what we don't want to do. You don't want this feeling of compression, and you can feel the compression in your neck, I'm guessing, right? You can see it in me, I'm sure, right? But now if we push into our hand, if we push the crown of our head into our hand, notice how long we get through the spine, and then the muscles are nice and supporting our spinal structure. So that's your second do and don't. Third, keep your fingers clasped. So I see a lot of once the head comes down, this happening as people move into the pose because they're rolling everything forward and their fingers are coming undone. So think of your fingers more like a basket shape. So your hands will be open, but you're creating almost like a C shape here with your hands. And so one thing you could think of is if you feel that tendency of everything moving forward and the hands coming undone, to press the pinky side of the finger and the outer edges of the wrist down. And that will be the same action that you're doing with your head, right? You're pushing the floor away from you, you're pressing down into the floor to lengthen everything up. Now, that movement, that pressing down, is also doing something really important with your shoulder blades. When we are upside down, we want, again, to kind of work against gravity. So we don't want the gravity and force to take us down. We want to push away. And when we push away, that elevates the shoulder blades. So we can test this out, right? So if you raise your arms over your head, and you can even bring your opposite hand to where your shoulder blade is, and you press, or almost like you're reaching up towards the ceiling, you'll feel your shoulder blade reach up. That's called elevation. And then when we press, we combine that with pushing our forearms into the floor, that's going to ignite this muscle right here. You might even be able to see it in me as I do that, as I push the floor away. This is your serratus anterior. And one of its jobs is to stabilize the shoulder blade onto the back. Okay, number 4. You want to, so this is your do, have your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Directly underneath. I see a lot of this. And maybe the person's thinking, oh, the wider the foundation here, the more able to balance I'm going to be. But remember what I talked about with stacking your joints? You want your elbow joint directly underneath your shoulder joint for maximum stability when you're balancing upside down. 5, no kicking. Do not kick. So why don't we want you to kick when you're in your headstand? Because if you're bearing all of your weight on your head and then you're starting to kick and you don't really have the balance, you're starting to move your head and your neck all around, and then you're going to fall out, and that's just not going to be good for anyone involved. So do not kick. So what do you do if you don't quite have the core strength and you don't quite have the flexibility to get those legs up there? One of the things that you can do is elevate the floor. So if you're practicing with me, pause the video, go grab something, set of blocks, stack of books, and we'll elevate the floor. So let's take these do's and come into a bit of a practice. If you're brand new to headstand, make sure you're near a wall, and you might even want to pad your head with a blanket. The first thing we're going to do is actually not take the hands clasped yet, and just build some strength here. So coming into a tabletop position, I want you to shift the weight forward, pin the elbows in, and then slowly come down and just tap the crown of your head and look at your elbows. You want them stacked over your wrist, and then slowly come up. So we're going down slowly to build strength and seeing if we can place our head down, push up, continue on down. These are great ways to build strength for your headstand. And let's do 2 more. Down and up, and down and up, and down and up. And sit back on your heels. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Bend your right arm. We'll get a bit of a shoulder stretch here to keep the shoulders open. And we'll switch. Left arm bends. I'm just taking my right hand to the left elbow. Press the back of your head into your forearm. And then release. Okay, let's take that hand clasp. You're making a C shape, and you'll place the C shape down, press the outer edges of your pinky finger down, and then hug your elbows in until they're right underneath your shoulders, and actively push the floor away. And you'll immediately feel that protraction in the shoulder blades and this firing up of the serratus anterior muscle. So you can play with that a little bit. Release it and then push away, release and push away. And we'll do that 2 more times, down and up and down and up. And then from here, we're going to place the crown of our head down and maybe a little bit forward of the crown of the head, because we know when we walk the hips forward, we're going to shift a little bit on our head. Curl your toes under, keep hugging your elbows in, and see if you can straighten your legs. Now walk in a little bit, and as you walk in, you'll notice the hips come closer to the shoulders. And then we'll hold this and breathe. And if you're feeling compression here on your head, then I want you to come out and take a child's pose. Otherwise, we're breathing, keep pushing the floor away. And come down to your knees and release into a quick child's pose. And we'll build up from there. So place whatever prop you're using. You'll have to play with the distance a little bit. Know that you're going to walk in, so you want them somewhat close to your elbows. So you'll straighten your legs, walk in, and then bring one knee into the chest. The weight shifts a little bit forward, and then bring your other knee into the chest and hold. And building strength, hold, and hold. And we'll come out real quick. We'll take a quick break. It's good not to just sit right up, because you've got that blood that has gone to your head. And we'll go up again as you're ready. So one knee in, the other knee in. Now we need to bring our hips, notice that, over. So I've basically shifted my pelvis from a tuck into an anterior. And then the legs are straight. Now, if you're new to this, you're probably practicing at the wall. And then we'll see if we can come out. This is not easy to come out. Slowly find those blocks, and you can take a quick little child's pose. Now, if you are like, what the heck, Cathy, there is no way I can do that. I understand. And if you can find someone to help you take your hips and stack them over, it's going to really speed up the process for you. But again, just take a moment, notice, like, is that bothering my neck? Does this feel good? Is this worth it? Headstand is a lot of fun, and it will help you also build strength. You get all the benefits of an inversion, but there's a lot of other inversions that you can do. And generally when I teach, I encourage students to take and learn handstand and forearm stand first so that they have all of the right strength. But we'll do just a couple more rounds, a couple more demos here. So place your clasped hands down, place your head down, push the floor away, curl your toes, straighten your legs, and walk in, and walk in, and walk in, and hold, and then from there, maybe one leg lifts. Now notice I'm not kicking, I'm going to lean forward in order to float that bottom leg up.
I'm equally pressing, equally forearms and head. Everything's engaged. Glutes engaged, feet engaged, quads engaged, belly firm. Breathing nice and evenly. And then coming out nice and easy, you'll take your child's pose. Now, of course, there's many different ways to get into your headstand, things that you can do while you're up there, all different kinds of ways that you can have your hands positioned. But I just wanted to give this introduction of some of the common ways to start to progress into your headstand and some do's and don'ts. Let me know in the comments if this video was useful and any other tutorials that you would like. And of course, if you really want to deep dive into your yoga practice, have a look at my 3 sample videos that I've given you from my teacher training. They're super informative, just videos anyway, so you might as well check those out. And I will see you in the next video.